What's up, Challengers? Zach here. We got a GLC deck profile for you guys. This GLC deck profile is featuring my fighting deck, and I guess it's commonly referred to as RDT, standing for Rocks, Dogi, and Ting Lu. This is a it's a very strong fighting deck that doesn't require a lot of Pokemon. As you see, I don't have very many Pokemon that I'm playing, but I am still playing the 5, 6, 7 lines of Pokemon total in the deck. So let's kick this deck profile off, starting with the Rocks. Soul Rock being your 1 energy, 70 damage attacker. It ignores weakness and resistance, but the fact that it just can hit 70 with ignoring resistance is very strong, especially in a format where you're targeting those 70 HP Pokemon to get out with Buddy Poffin. Lunatone being the accompanying card with its Lunar Cycle ability of being, if you have a Soul Rock in play, you can discard a fighting energy to draw 3 cards. It's your draw engine for the deck. It's very strong. Notably, also, they have 1 retreat, so U-turn board is a very usable card in this deck. Then we have our Okidogi, which is probably one of the most mean cards that fighting has access to. It's because he has 130 HP base, but with his ability Adrena Power, if this Pokemon has any dark energy attached to it, it gets plus 100 HP and its attacks do 100 more damage. So it goes to a 230 HP basic and a 170 swinging for 2 energy attachments. We can go over the energies later, but there's 3 different ways in this deck for energies that will count as both fighting and dark energy. Well, then rounding out the RDT is Ting Lu and he's scary because of his Ground Crasher ability. If a stadium is in play, this attack does 30 damage to each of your opponent's bench Pokemon and discard that stadium. So you'll always do 30 to the active, but then you have the option of doing 30 spread. And there's only a few decks that have bench barriers normally, so this is a very mean card. Then outside of the RDT, we play cards like Terrakion. So Terrakion is a Retaliate Pokemon for 2. He does 130 Retaliate. Before, this slot used to be filled by something like Lucario, but just having the basic Pokemon to fill that slot instead is pretty nice now, because we're playing different support Pokemon. The first support Pokemon we're playing is Barbaracle. Barbaracle is your energy accelerating. So once during your turn, you may attach fighting energy from your hand to a Pokemon. So this is a very good way of letting you, so your Okidogi dies, you get to get it back, attach a special energy, and then use the Barbaracle to make the Okidogi start swinging once again. Very annoying card. And in my opinion, I like it too because you're able to use the secondary attacks on Ting Lu or even the Hariyama. But it's nice being able to have a follow-up with Hammer in the turn after, since you might not have the stadium, so you can attach 2 energies to get the 140 total damage on the active Pokemon. And then the last Pokemon we play is Hariyama. Hariyama has Heave-Ho Catcher. It's a boss effect when you evolve into Hariyama. And he does a 210 attack for 3 energies, which is very easy to get off as well with this deck. And it also, you play into having you have 2 evolution attackers in this deck, so you're able to get around like weird things like the Archalet on the Arch Nemesis deck that we had gone over in a deck profile before. Now we have our supporter cards for the deck. Quickly, the classic draw cards. You might not play Research often in the beginning of the game, but I like having Research as an option for the late game when you get Iono. When you inevitably get out very far ahead, you get Iono'd, and you need more cards to help draw different cards with. Iono and Marty being forms of hand disruption, and then Corinna being a different card in the deck. You'll most classically probably know this card is like an Irida. The Corinna allows you to search your deck for a fighting Pokemon and an item card and put them in your hand. So it's a very strong supporter in fighting decks. The 2 boss effects, in addition to the Hariyama, we have 3 different boss effect cards, which is pretty annoying for the deck. Our stadium searchy cards, since Ting Lu does require you to discard stadium cards, it's nice to have the option to search for stadiums. And in addition, it allows you to search for the special energies for Okidogi, since we're playing 3 different energies that act as a fighting and a dark energy. Being able to search for them with Colress or Guzma is pretty good too. Cynthia and Caitlin's in the deck to try and recoup an option for later. More classically, it'll probably be like a Guzma or the Tarragon card to get access to your resources again. Since we're only playing 7 lines of Pokemon, you might get into the Ting Lu, the Okidogi, or Soul Rock like 2 or 3 times in a game. And opening up that is Tarragon. This is like Tulip, where put up to any combination of fighting and basic fighting energy cards from your discard into your hand. So 4 of any combination of those things. So it allows you to get basically like the Soul Rock gets knocked out, get three energies of Soul Rock, or get a Okidogi Soul Rock 2 energy. This is a very strong card, so it's one of the main reasons you want to target this, the Guzma or the Tarragon with the Cynthia and Caitlyn, just so you can try and get the energies to draw more cards and make your attaches, get your attackers going again. And for the same or a similar reason as Clara, get 2 Pokemon, get 2 energies back. Allows you to, keep your draw engine going. And a card that's different from most decks is I do like to play Grant. Grant is during your this turn, your fighting Pokemon's attacks do an extra 30 damage. So against Psychic, classically, the resistance numbers are kind of annoying. So getting that extra 30 to go over the resistance is pretty helpful. Plus, Grant is extra useful in the sense that its secondary effect is during your turn, if this card is in your discard pile, you may discard 2 cards except any Grant from your hand. If you do, put this Grant into your hand. So it's a resource while it's still in the discard pile. And then Raihan being always, Raihan's just very good for making sure you set up your attackers so your Okidogi or something dies, your next attacker going right away. Or pick out the pieces you need to maybe recover your Okidogi, whatever. Now we have our item cards. The top row, you're always Pokemon search cards. You don't have to play any of the evolution search cards just because we have access to Pokepad and Ultra Ball. These cards also serve as your basic Pokemon search as well, which is super useful for this deck. Heavy Ball to fish out the card from the prizes, and Fighting Gong also acts as Pokemon search, but it also acts as energy search. So Fighting Gong allows you to take a basic fighting Pokemon or a basic fighting energy from the deck and put it to your hand. This middle row of cards, we start with Pokegear 3.0 here. Pokegear just allows you to search deeper. It's one of those more, hold on to this if you can, because I like having a card like this in my deck. So if I get Iono'd early because Okidogi's gotten you ahead in the prize trade, at least you can try and dig for the right supporter that you need to help get into it. Just keep the momentum going. Energy retrieval, being able to recoup the energy cards that you've discarded with Soul Rock, or just mostly just to get the energies you discarded with the Lunatone, Soul Rock, Lunar Cycle. Enhanced Hammers for the mirror to try and hit on Okidogi's. Tag Call to get the tag team cards that we had in our supporters. And then Premium Power Probing. Damage modifier makes your fighting Pokemon's attacks do an extra 30 damage. So like the Grant, like a Muscle Band, allows you to just hit the right numbers that you need, or make your Soul Rocket for 100, or there's a lot of different options, a lot of different cards that allow you to power up your attacks. And then our bottom row is our classic GLC staples: VS Seeker, Professor's Letter, Escape Rope, Pseudo Boss. This is more to make sure that you can try and hit the right numbers, since the plus 100 cape is going to Luxurious Cape is going to make it so that your Okidogi can't one-hit kill something. Rescue Stretcher, Night Stretcher being more options for you to recover your cards, like Okidogi, Tingaloo, etc. Since we're playing the Clara, the Tarragon, we have the Rescue Stretcher, Night Stretcher, just to get the right pieces back when you need them. Now we have our Stadium and Tool cards. For this fighting deck, I'm actually playing a lot of Stadiums. Usually I only play 4 Stadiums in this version of the deck, but I decided to include Lost City in the most recent version of my deck to make sure I hit on some of the very annoying attackers that Psychic and Dark get into. I was mostly worried about the Galarian Moltres, so I wanted to make sure the Galarian Moltres only ever hit me 1 time, so I got rid of it. But we'll start by going through all the Stadiums. So the Lost City is whenever a Pokemon, either yours or your opponent's, is knocked out, put that Pokemon into Lost Zone instead of the discard pile. So this makes sure that attacker that they had is a problem forever, is gone for the rest of the game. But the downside being that if they can somehow get the return KO on your Okidogi, you've lost your Okidogi forever as well. So it's like a double-edged sword here with the Stadium. Artisan and Brooklet Hill being your basic Pokemon search. Brooklet Hill being specific for only water and fighting types. Artisan being applicable for anything. You don't mind playing the Artisan because Tingaloo, you can get the use out of Artisan than discard it to get the damage from Tingaloo. Training Court, again, is just more additional energy recovery that you can also have, maintain that you only have access to with Tingaloo. It just makes it so you get the energy to attack, get the energy for the draw 3 on the Lunar Cycle. And Silent Lab is a card that you have to be careful with, but you play it for at least the bench barrier matchups, and it's so that the Tingaloo does get at least the 1 set of 30 damage going off. I like to treat the Tingaloo damage as like a damage modifier to make sure that the resistance on Psychic isn't as big of a deal. So like you get the 30 damage on the problem Pokemon that are on the bench, and then all of a sudden that resistance number doesn't matter anymore because you can set up your perfect numbers with any of your damage modifiers or just normally. And for items, we have our classic retreat options, the float stone being we have a lot of heavy retreat or heavy Pokemon, so like the 2 or 3 retreat cost is not uncommon. But we have the U-turn board to set up on the Solrock or Lunatone as your normal pivot option. Focus Sash is a very powerful tool card that fighting has access to, and this is if the fighting Pokemon this card is attached to has full HP and would be knocked out by damage from an opponent's attack. That Pokemon is not knocked out, and its remaining HP becomes 10. Then discard this card. So this makes it so that you can make sure that your Pokemon stays around, except for maybe like a poison matchup or something. But you can make sure that the Pokemon stays around for a second attack to get that extra value. And then Muscle Band being your plus 20 damage to your attacks by having this tool equipped, which is, again, additional damage modification on some of the lower pings, but in combination with the Ting-Lu spread, make sure that you can clear some of the numbers that you need to. Then rounding out the deck, we have 7 Fighting Energy. I think I've seen lists that do 6. I'm someone who's a little aggressive with the discard, so I like having the 7th Fighting Energy in the deck. And then we have our 4 Special Energies in the deck, the first one being Strong Energy. The fighting Pokemon that this Strong Energy is attached to does an extra 20 damage, so it's Muscle Band on an energy, which is very strong. And these 3 are our energy cards that give us our dark and fighting energy at the same time. The first one being Unit Energy, so this one provides fairy, fighting, or dark energy at the same time, but it only acts as 1 energy cost. So if you have a fighting energy and the unit energy, you get your 2 fighting energy for the Okidogi attack, but it also counts as a dark still, so it gets the plus 100 damage modifier. Prism Energy provides 1 colorless energy, but if it's attached to a basic Pokemon like Okidogi, then it provides any energy of that, any energy, so it could count it as the fighting in the dark again. I would think about maybe changing this to a luminous energy instead, so that the Hariyama can benefit from having the fighting energy, but I'll have to think about which specific special energies I want to do. Then we have Aurora Energy. You can only attach this card to one of your Pokemon if you discard another card from your hand, and it acts as another Rainbow Energy type. So that's the deck profile for RDT, or Rocks, Dogi, Ting-Lu. Fighting is a very strong type right now. It's something that can go competitive with Psychic, even though the Okidogi has a weakness with Psychic. Some of the options for choosing some of the Rocks, let's call them, is that they have Grass weakness instead of Psychic, which does help level the playing field. It does not fully negate the resistance that Psychic often have to fighting, and that's where cards like Ting-Lu, in my opinion, help to fix the math on some of the cards. So if Ting-Lu spreads 30, and then afterwards that attacker comes out, and you're swinging for 130, minus 20, minus 30 with resistance, you would only be going for 100 or 110, but since you had the Ting-Lu spread early, it does the 140 damage, which will most often clear, I think, all the basics in Psychic anyway. And keep in mind that it doesn't do resistance while on the bench, so there's a lot of good options that you can get with Ting-Lu, and not to mention that there are just plenty of types and matchups where Ting-Lu can just attack 3 to 4 times and it just clears up the board. I think it's only water, Psychic, Grass that have bench barriers. Then you can have the Stadium bench barrier, but Ting-Lu clears it would negate the Ting-Lu that first time, but you would discard the Stadium with Ting-Lu anyway, and plus you could just Stadium bump it with one of the 5 Stadiums that you're playing in this current list. That's it. So that's all for the deck profile. If you guys like this deck profile, please like the video. If you have any suggestions for deck profiles, let me know in the comments down below. And as always, guys, thanks for watching.